What if you've already planted everything and your garden still doesn't work? You've done the work, you picked the plants, you put them in the ground, you watered, you try to do everything right, and for a moment, it looks like it's coming together. But then something feels off. Not completely wrong, just not working the way you expected. Plants are there, but the space doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel easy, and that's the part most people don't understand. It's not because you didn't try, it's not because you chose the wrong plants, it's because something important was missing. Not more effort, but the right understanding from the beginning. So what's actually going wrong? Most of the time, it's not your effort, it's not your budget, it's a system behind it. Because when something doesn't work in a garden, people tend to focus on the surface. The plant, how it looks, how much it costs. They think, maybe I chose the wrong plant. Maybe I need something better. But that's rarely the real issue. The part that's usually missing is how everything works together. How the soil holds water, how light moves through the space, how plants interact with each other, how roots grow underneath where you can't see. Because a garden is not a collection of plants, it's a system. And when that system isn't aligned, even good plants will struggle. Even expensive work won't last. You might fix one part, but something else goes out of balance, so the garden never really settles. That's why adding more doesn't solve it. Because the problem isn't what you added, it's how everything connects. And once you start seeing your garden that way, not as an individual pieces, but as a system, that's when things begin to change. Because now, you're not just reacting, you're understanding what's actually going on underneath. Yesterday we talked about why landscaping becomes expensive. This is exactly why. Because when things are done without understanding, the cost doesn't stop at the beginning. You don't just lose money, you lose time. And more importantly, you lose a full growing season. Spring comes, and that's your window. That's when everything should establish, settle, start growing. But when the foundation isn't right, plants don't take off. They pause, they struggle. So instead of enjoying that season, you spend it fixing things, adjusting, replacing, trying to figure out what went wrong. And by the time you understand it, the season is already gone. And that's something you can't buy back. Because gardening works with time, with seasons, with cycles, and when you miss that window, everything gets pushed back. That's why doing things right at the start isn't about perfection, it's about timing. Because when the system is right, the garden grows with the season. But when it's not, you're always trying to catch up. So what should you actually do before you spend anything else? Before you buy more plants, before you redo your garden, or hire someone again, just pause. Because what you need first is not more work, it's clarity. You need to understand your space. Not guess it, not copy from somewhere else. Actually see what's happening there. What works in your garden and why. What doesn't and what's causing it. How your soil behaves, where water sits, where light moves during the day. Because once you understand those things, your decisions change. You stop reacting, you stop wasting money on things that won't last, and you start making choices that actually work. This is why I always start with a consultation, not to sell you more, but to help you see your space clearly. Because when that part is right, everything after becomes easier. You don't need to redo everything, you just need to do the right thing next. This is where a proper gardening consultation changes everything. It's not about selling you more plants, it's about helping you see your garden clearly. Understanding your soil, how it holds water, how it drains, understanding your light, where the sun actually hits throughout the day, and understanding your layout, how everything connects or doesn't. Because once those pieces are clear, you start to see things differently. Not what to add, but what to adjust. Sometimes in just one visit, people have that moment where it all clicks, they realize what hasn't been working, not because they didn't try, but because no one showed them how it all fits together. And once you see that, everything becomes simpler. You stop guessing, you stop repeating the same mistakes, and you start making decisions that actually move your garden forward. After working in Vancouver gardens for 25 years, I've seen this again and again. People don't fail because they don't care, they fail because no one showed them properly. They follow advice, they try their best, they put in effort, money, but the pieces don't connect because the device wasn't made for their space or no one explained how everything works together. That's the difference experience brings. Not just knowing plants, but understanding this environment. How Vancouver soil behaves, how moisture builds up, how light shifts through the seasons, and when to step in and when to leave things alone. Because gardening here is not about doing more, it's about doing the right thing, at the right time, in the right place. And once you understand that, everything becomes simpler. You stop guessing, you stop repeating the same cycle, and you start building something that actually lasts. Because in the end, it's not about how much you do, it's about how well you understand what you're doing. And maybe this feels familiar. You've tried, you've spent money, you put in the effort, and for a moment it looks like it's working, but then something feels off. Not completely wrong, just not right. The plants are there, the space is full, but it doesn't feel settled. You walk through it, and you're not relaxed, you're thinking about what needs fixing next. And over time, you start stepping away from it. Not because you don't care, but because it feels harder than it should. And that's the part most people don't talk about. It's not just about the garden, it's how it makes you feel. And once that feeling is off, everything else follows. Before you change everything, take a moment to understand what's actually going on. If something in your garden isn't working right now, don't rush to fix it. Don't assume you need to replace everything, because most of the time it's not about doing more, it's about seeing clearly. So tell me, what's not working in your space? Are your plants not growing? Does the layout feel off? Or is it just too much work to maintain? Drop it in the comments, keep it simple, I'll go through them and help you understand what's actually going wrong. Not just what to change, but why it's happening. So before you spend more money or start over again, you have clarity, you have direction, and that's what makes the biggest differences. I'm Darrell, and I'll see you in the garden.